was reelected to a second four-year term.
For the first time, because the people of the world want peace and the leaders of the world are afraid of war, the times are on the side of peace.
History will remember Nixon as a peacemaker during a very perilous time because of his historic agreement with China's leaders, the anti-ballistic treaty he signed with the Soviet Union, and the withdrawal of all United States troops from Vietnam. A clandestine break-in to the National Democratic headquarters in the Watergate complex gave rise to Nixon's cover-up of the incident, and as legalities worsened, articles of impeachment were drawn up against him. A trial did not follow, however, because on August 8, 1974, Richard Nixon became the first president of the United States to resign that office. Gerald R. Ford immediately assumed the presidency and chose Nelson Rockefeller as the new vice president. This then became the first time in the history of the United States that voters had elected neither their president nor their vice president.
My first priority is to work with you to bring inflation under control. Inflation is domestic enemy number one. To restore economic confidence, the government in Washington must provide some leadership. It does no good to blame the public for spending too much when the government is spending too much.
Although a recession was causing hurt to this great nation, Ford's steady hand guided its economic recovery. The use of his presidential pardon of Nixon brought sharp criticism, but his candor in office soon raised his popularity as he presided over the country's 200th birthday. In a very close election, Ford lost to James E. Carter.
This inauguration ceremony marks a new beginning. Let us learn together and laugh together and work together and pray together, confident that in the end we will triumph together in the right.
Carter's presidency was marked by a continuing commitment to human rights, a quest for Arab-Israeli peace, and at the end of his tenure, an interminable hostage crisis. During his four-year presidency, he signed the SALT II Treaty, limiting the arms race, and the Camp David Accords, establishing a framework for peace still viable in the Middle East. The year was 1980. The general election on November 4th proved to be one of the largest electoral landslides ever recorded. With this mandate of his principles, Ronald Wilson Reagan confidently spoke of the era of national renewal that he plans as the 40th President of the United States.
This present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem. Our government has no power except that granted it by the people. It is time to check and reverse the growth of government, which shows signs of having grown beyond the consent of the governed. It is time to reawaken this industrial giant, to get government back within its means, and to lighten our punitive tax burden. As for the enemies of freedom, those who are potential adversaries, they will be reminded that peace is the highest aspiration of the American people. We will negotiate for it, sacrifice for it. We will not surrender for it now or ever.
With those words still echoing across the world, Reagan pressed for human freedom, demanding that the Berlin Wall come down and that the Soviet Union stop interfering in the affairs of other nations. At home, he attacked big government by freezing federal hiring and cutting government spending, but he was unable to effect a balanced budget. On March 30th, 1981, President Reagan was shot and wounded in an assassination attempt in Washington, D.C. The Reagan Revolution continued during his ensuing four-year term, and his policies concerning world communism continued during the administration of his Vice President George Herbert Walker Bush.
And so today a chapter begins, a small and stately story of unity, diversity, and generosity, shared and written together. America is never wholly herself unless she is engaged in high moral principle. We as a people have such a purpose today. It is to make kinder the face of the nation and gentler the face of the world.
In his first days of office, President Bush established a commission on ethics in government and set high priority on problems of the budget and trade deficits, the environment, and drugs. One of his first acts as president was to propose to Congress a plan to resolve the savings and loan crisis. 500,000 U.S. troops, along with others from allied nations, battled Iraqi forces to stop the invasion of Kuwait. President Bush enjoyed great personal popularity, but the rising national debt and the nagging recession caused his popularity to decline. The election of 1992 saw an independent candidate make it a three-man race, with the presidency going to William Jefferson.
And so, my fellow Americans, as we stand at the edge of the 21st century, let us begin anew with energy and hope, with faith and discipline, and let us work until our work is done. Our democracy must be not only the envy of the world, but the engine of our own renewal. There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America. It is time to break the bad habit of expecting something for nothing from our government or from each other. Let us all take more responsibility, not only for ourselves and our families, but for our communities and our country.
During his first term, William Jefferson Clinton presided over an improving economy and worked with the Republican leaders to achieve a balanced budget. He also developed legislation creating tax cuts for small businesses and the poor. The Brady Bill, which mandated a waiting period for gun purchases. A national service to put Americans to work restoring their communities. And a Get Tough program against crime and violence. Clinton achieved a second-term victory over Senate leader Bob Dole. During this time, the American prosperity continued, but international crises arose in the Middle East and Yugoslavia. Clinton also faced the greatest test of perseverance during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. His lying under oath led to his impeachment trial, making him the second president since Andrew Johnson in 1868 to face trial before the Senate. Like Johnson 131 years earlier, Clinton was acquitted and retained his office. Clinton's ability to make a political comeback in the face of seemingly overwhelming odds was a hallmark throughout his 8-year presidency. George Walker Bush won the Electoral College vote that made him the 43rd president. During his inaugural speech, he outlines his beliefs on how to make America its best.
America at its best matches a commitment to principle with a concern for civility. A civil society demands from each of us goodwill and respect, fair dealing, and forgiveness.
President Bush dealt with several trying events in his 8 years as president. The most prominent of these events was the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001. Following the events, on September 20th, President Bush addressed the nation.
Great harm has been done to us. We have suffered great loss. And in our grief and anger, we have found our mission and our moment. Freedom and fear are at war. The advance of human freedom, the great achievement of our time and the great hope of every time, now depends on us. Our nation, this generation, will lift a dark thread of violence from our people and our future. We will rally the world to this cause by our efforts, by our courage. We will not tire, we will not falter, and we will not fail. Fellow citizens, will meet violence with patient justice, assured of the rightness of our cause, and confident of the victories to come.
Shortly following the speech, America found itself at war with first the Taliban in Afghanistan, and 2 years later with Saddam Hussein and Iraq. Although the opinions of his 2 terms are mixed, in a time of crisis, our 43rd president was able to reestablish a sense of normalcy to the nation. On November 4, 2008, as America faced rising unemployment and its worst financial crisis since the 1930s, Barack Obama was elected our 44th president. Drawing on his unique diversity and championing of a bipartisan theme of hope and change, the 47-year-old senator from Illinois became the first African-American to assume office. President Obama's historic inauguration, attended by nearly 2 million people and watched by millions around the world, celebrated the theme, A New Birth of Freedom, commemorating the 200th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. His message called America to rise to the hard tasks ahead by working together, just as George Washington and our founding fathers had.
America has carried on not simply because of the skill or vision of those in high office, but because we, the people, have remained faithful to the ideals of our forebears and true to our founding documents. Our challenges may be new. The instruments with which we meet them may be new. But those values upon which our success depends, honesty and hard work, courage and fair play, tolerance and curiosity, loyalty and patriotism, these things are old. These things are true. They have been the quiet force of progress throughout our history. What is demanded then is a return to these truths. What is required of us now is a new era of responsibility, a recognition on the part of every American that we have duties to ourselves, our nation, and the world, duties that we do not grudgingly accept, but rather seize gladly, firm in the knowledge that there is nothing so satisfying to the spirit, so defining of our character, than giving our all to a difficult task. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
You have just witnessed a review of America with the men who were America, men who as presidents represented us to ourselves and to the world, men whose faults were our faults, whose genius was our genius, whose hopes were our hopes, men whose lives set the course for presidents to come.